Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Louder.
I've never been told to speak louder before. Thank you for coming to today's Story County Fall Fundraiser. My name is Teresa Perin, and I will be your MC for this afternoon's event. I would also like to thank the Story County Democrats for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. I am running to be the representative in House District 51. But you know, I feel a little bit like an imposter up here. If you had asked me 6 weeks ago if I was going to run for this seat, I would have told you that you were crazy. But I saw a Facebook post from Ryan Melton outlining all of the state districts in the 4th Congressional District that did not have a Democrat running. That was eye-opening and frightening. I waited a day or so, and then I sent Mr. Melton a message to ask if anyone had stepped up. When he answered no, I felt it was my obligation. It is my patriotic duty as an American to step up, to give back, to represent and serve the communities where I grew up. It is completely unacceptable to have no choice in an election but the incumbent. Democracy requires choice to be effective. And without any choice of who we can elect, it allows the parties to grow more extreme, driving a wedge between neighbors and family members. We are at a point where it is imperative to unite and recognize the humanity in each and every one of us. We need a return to our common values. We need to stand up for Iowa nice. And as a representative, I will do my best to promote the needs of all people living in this district, not Democrats, not Republicans, but everyone. Iowans deserve a fresh start, and that's why I'm running for representative of Iowa District 51. I am a lifelong Iowan, a mother, a grandmother, a farmer, a teacher. I graduated from West Marshall High School on the east side of this district. Iowa State University might not be in District 51, but I'm still proud of my alma mater. Earning my degree from Iowa's only land-grant university helped me grow into the person I am today. I think it's time we hearken back to the early settlers of our state. They were forward-thinking when in 1856 they decided to devote land to create a university accessible to everyone, a place of learning rooted in science and technology. I want my granddaughter to grow up in an Iowa that values her freedom to develop her talents and interests. I want her and every other Iowan to live and flourish in a state that values their individual possibilities and increases the opportunities every Iowan deserves. Let's honor our traditional Iowa values and rally around our education system that is currently facing challenges with lack of funding, lack of support for our public schools, and degradation of the teaching profession. We need our teachers. Our students deserve safe buildings, robust curriculum, and real-world opportunities. Schools are doing their best to succeed against the odds, so imagine what our public schools could do with the support of their state government. We need our young people to have an education that prepares them for whatever role they choose. We must ignite the power of our universities to again lead in research and development and protect their independence for innovation. And we need to stop the exodus of college-educated young adults. Common Sense Institute Iowa reports that Iowa had the 7th highest cumulative net out-migration of bachelor's degree holders aged 25 to 29 nationally. That means we have to provide reasons for our young people to stay in the state. We have to make sure there are jobs, affordable housing, and childcare for those who need it. Additionally, we have to support our farmers as they face the challenges of decreasing markets and working to clean up our waterways. In my experiences before retiring from farming, I learned the firsthand struggle of years when it was nearly impossible to break even growing crops. Even though I might have broken even, it wasn't enough to also make the farm payment or pay the bills. If someone wants to take over the family farm today, the first thing they need to do is find a partner with a good job to provide health insurance and a paycheck to cover the bills. Our farmers are working hard to put food on the table, and I worry for my family and neighbors who are still farming. We have to support their dedication and develop creative ways to preserve our family farms, the backbone of Iowa. We need to use Iowa's agricultural foundation and work ethic to bridge out into industries that take this knowledge and ingenuity to build upon the legacy of our farm communities. We need to protect these small farms and all Iowa lands from the use of eminent domain for the benefit of private business. We cannot let pipelines destroy the value and health of our land and risk our own health because of corporate greed. Unlike my opponent who voted against farmers, I am ready to fight for our family farms. According to the Iowa Cancer Registry, Iowa is one of only 6 states with increasing cancer rates, and Iowa's cancer rates are rising faster than any other. It ranks second overall in new cancer incidences. These cancer rates need to be taken seriously, studied, and acted upon for the long-term health and safety of our state. We have the resources with our university system to lead the way in researching the causes, and we as a state can work together to change this statistic. Part of this requires that all Iowans have access to needed medical care. With the implementation of Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, we are already seeing the impact. My coworker this week just shared that her granddaughter has lost her health insurance. Iowa's already struggling healthcare system is at greater risk of losing hospitals and services. Iowa has the fewest OBGYNs per capita based on a report by the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, putting our moms and babies at risk. As someone who is hoping for more grandchildren in my future, this is quite troubling. I'm ready to stand up for Iowans' right to access the health care they need. We're already seeing the impact of tariffs, rising costs, layoffs from jobs, and the loss of small businesses. We need leadership that will help the everyday person. In a report from Wallet Hub in June, Iowa's economy is currently ranked 51st, behind every other state in the union and Washington, D.C. For too many years, Iowa's economy has been mismanaged by the current leadership. It needs to change. We need to hit the reset button and work for a fresh start for all Iowans. I'm ready to step up and do the job. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today, and I look forward to hearing your priorities for a fresh start. Thank you. Our next speakers today are candidates for the Democratic nomination for the U.S. Senate. They will be on the June 2nd primary ballot when voters choose their nominee. To all of our speakers, you have 10 minutes, and our timer will be Tim. So, first up, we have Jackie Norris.
Well, I'll start by saying thank you to the Story County Democrats. It is hard work to put on something like this, so really appreciate it. It's also really great to be here because this is like home for me. Hunter and Cole were born at Mary Greeley. I actually ran into somebody who took my blood pressure. But also I taught high school government at Ames High, and some of you in this room actually probably helped unpack my boxes when we moved here. And so I'm just really happy to be here. Some of you may have noticed that there was something in the news this week. And I do have to apologize. Sorry, guys. Sorry I got all the great free media. Yep. Okay, so look, on Friday morning, everything changed for the Des Moines school community. Our superintendent was detained by ICE. Over 7 days, our community went from shock to fact-finding to disappointment to a whole lot of anger. This is a really complex situation. Each day, a different falsehood came to light, whether it was around citizenship, academic credentials, or criminal background. As board chair, I did my job. I stepped up, I led, and I brought accountability to the situation. We didn't rush to judgment. We gathered the facts, and we provided transparent communication. We supported students, staff, and families through some really difficult conversations about citizenship. And when you're talking to a second grader about the complexity of citizenship and trying to explain that somebody can actually be undocumented but still be a good person, these are tough conversations to navigate young people through. And yet, we did it. And as facts unfolded, we took swift action to his contract, and we terminated the contract, and then we filed suit against the search firm. But I have to be honest, when the news broke, my first reaction publicly was to ask for grace. And when you publicly ask for grace, what you're saying is, you don't know if somebody deserves it or not, but Scripture tells you to start by asking for grace. Well, let me tell you, Fox News rained down because hundreds of angry, hateful messages arrived in my mailbox right away. My response, if calling grace and empathy is sinful, then we misunderstand the teachings of my faith and likely many of yours. Thanks. You know, as a leader, I tried to lead with compassion, transparency, and professionalism. While my opponent, Ashley Hinson, tore down this school district and used our crisis for her political gain. And you know what? I am really angry about it. When I look back, I wonder, where the hell was Governor Reynolds and where were the Republicans? They licensed this guy, but instead, what did they do? They attacked Des Moines Public Schools and public education. Where was Ashley Hinson when ICE and the Department of Homeland Security were chasing headlines and not giving us any information? Where was Ashley Hinson when the Department of Justice suddenly decided to investigate our hiring practices? People like Ashley Hinson, Trump's #1 ally, all she wanted to do was pummel me with lies and attacks. And I have to tell you, they wanted to weaponize a crisis against public education. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter about the kids who were grieving. It didn't matter about the teachers who were trying to navigate their way through. They just wanted to attack. And they wanted to distract from the fact that Iowa kids are being failed by people like Ashley Hinson. So, Ashley, if you are so worried about protecting kids, maybe start with releasing the Epstein files instead of carrying water for the pedophiles. While we work to get accountability for our taxpayers, Ashley Hinson went on Fox News. She spread so much hate towards DMPS, even as the government was shutting down. She didn't care about facts, she didn't care about feelings, she saw the political opportunity. She could have come to Des Moines, she could have talked to her students, she could have talked to her staff, she could have demanded accountability from Governor Reynolds, but instead, she incited violent, sexist, racist rhetoric against me, my fellow board members, my employees, and she made fun of everyone at Des Moines Public Schools. While Ashley Hinson blamed, I led. And that's why I'm running for U.S. Senate. We need a better politics. We need steady leadership. You know, a better politics is when politicians don't tell you what to think or what you want to hear. They actually ask you what you think and what's on your mind and how we're going to work together to solve it. And what's important for you to know about me, I'm not going to chase a camera every time there's a crisis like Ashley Hinson did. So, several weeks ago, I moved my dad, my 91-year-old dad, into a nursing home. And some of you may have had that experience before. And I was supporting my mom and going through a lot of emotions myself. Because you know when you bring your dad there, he's probably not coming home. And yet, it was the caregivers who got us through the really hard moments. Now, for those of you who know me, you know that I am an optimist. I have a gratitude jar. I put things in it daily, at least 3. And so I want to ask all of you to take a moment of gratitude. And I want you to think about a direct care worker, somebody that showed you or someone you love care. And I want you to get that picture in your head. That's who I'll fight for in Washington. Child care workers, paraprofessionals, CNAs, direct care workers, nursing home aides, teachers. Politicians have ignored them long enough. Their work is essential, and jobs will not be replaced by AI anytime soon. We need to care for the people who care for us. We must make care jobs good jobs and improve the caregiving economy. Throughout my life, my focus has been on empowering others to succeed. As a teacher, helping students find their voice. As a school board member, getting phones out of the classroom to improve youth mental health and student outcomes. As Goodwill CEO, where we connected people with disabilities to meaningful work and ensure fair wages. Serving as White House Chief of Staff to Michelle Obama and leading at Points of Light, George H.W. Bush's foundation. And as a woman small business owner, employees always were first. Workplace flexibility and paid benefits mattered more than my profit. These experiences shape the issues I'll fight for, and we have urgent issues. 37% of Iowans can't afford basics, including childcare, healthcare, and nursing home care. And we have a growing youth mental health crisis, growing anxiety, growing depression, and it's not just youth anymore, it's adults too. So at our best, American idealism runs on one very simple concept, that we look out for each other. I don't know where idealism is right now with Ashley Hinson, because she is watching Medicaid cuts lead to clinic closures. She is watching public education be starved, and the tariffs are hurting our farmers. That doesn't look like we're caring for each other. So look, the warning signs have been flashing for years. The haves and the have-nots. When greed of tax cuts takes priority over feeding hungry kids, when respect for Mother Nature, water quality, and healthy soil take a backseat to corporate profits, when people in poverty are shamed for needing Medicaid, when Pete Hegseth insults military leaders and causes military moms like me to wonder what my sons have gotten themselves into, when shouting and threats turn to political violence. Is it time for me to go? Look at that, I'm just having a great time. Stop! Okay, look, I want to end with one thing. The atmosphere of hatred is suffocating our politics. So I'm offering a better politics, not left or right. I'm talking about right versus wrong and common sense, where human dignity is at the center. We can work together with Republicans, independents, and Democrats with the same spirit. I work with them every day, and we get things done. So American idealism isn't gone, it's just waiting for us. I'm Jackie Norris, mom on a mission to win this Senate seat for Iowa.
Thank you, Jackie. Now we will hear from Zach Wahls.
Hey, thank you so much, Teresa, and good afternoon, Story County Democrats. It is terrific to be back in Story County. It's our first time in Nevada on this campaign. I want to thank everybody who joined our meet and greet in Ames a few weeks ago. We are building a diverse coalition, not just of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, but Hawkeyes, Cyclones, and Panthers as well. I'm Zach Wahls, and I'm running for the United States Senate because I believe we can do better than a senator who is just waiting for us to die as their health care plan. For those of you who I have not yet had the chance to meet, I am a sixth-generation Iowan. I'm a two-term state senator. I'm a husband, and last year I became a father for the first time. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I will tell you, my wife and I have learned a lot over the last 18 months about how much it costs to be a new parent in this state. And I will tell you, this campaign would not be possible without all of the very generous child care that is being provided by my parents and my sister. And I'm running for the United States Senate because I know it's not just new parents. Iowans from all walks of life are being crushed by a crisis of out-of-control costs and a crisis of out-of-control corruption. And those two things go hand in hand. Now, we all see the crisis of out-of-control costs in our daily lives, whether it is at the grocery store, at the doctor's office, at the pharmacy, or Friday morning when I dropped Elijah off at daycare and I was reminded that our child care costs almost as much as our mortgage. Right? We have an economy that is working great for the billionaires and the people at the very top. But does anybody here think that what our economy really needed was another tax cut for billionaires? I didn't think so. And what I want to emphasize today is that the crisis of out-of-control costs, this economy that is working great for people at the very top, but not for the rest of us, that is directly linked to the crisis of out-of-control corruption that is embodied by people like Ashley Hinson. And I will tell you that I have seen that corruption firsthand, and I'm going to tell you a story about that in a minute. But we can all feel the squeeze of an economy that is not working for us, and we can feel that better future for our kids and for our grandkids slipping away. And you just look at Joni Ernst's record, what has happened since she was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2014. Iowa has fallen to dead last in our overall economy, but number one in rising cancer rates. How many people here know somebody battling cancer? Almost every hand in the room. Our water is dirtier than ever. Our public schools are falling behind. Joni Ernst voted to confirm Pete Hegseth, who is a national disgrace, and Linda McMahon is Secretary of Education, who thinks that AI is a steak sauce. She said that she was going to go to Washington, D.C. She was going to make them squeal. Now, of course, she's running for the hills. So all I'd say about Joni Ernst is she's all squeal, no bacon, and good riddance. That's not how I operate. I fight like hell for the things that I believe in. Whether that's fighting for workers' rights and the freedom of every Iowa worker to organize their workplace and negotiate a fair contract. Whether that's voting against the 6-week abortion ban, because in this state we trust women to make their own health care decisions. Or voting against Kim Reynolds' private school voucher scam, because in Iowa, public money is for public schools. I've also built a reputation of being able to work across the aisle with my Republican colleagues. My very first year in the legislature, several of our legislators were there when that first happened. We saw out-of-state corporations come into Iowa and start buying mobile home communities and trailer parks all across our state. They started jacking up the rent 50, 60, 70% from one month to the next. Imagine if your mortgage or your rent went up 70% next month. I thought this was outrageous, and so I went to my Republican colleagues and I said, look, we may not agree on every issue, but some issues are not about left versus right, they are about right versus wrong, and this is wrong. And we did something about it. We built a bipartisan coalition and we passed legislation out of the Iowa State Senate 48-0 that, if it had become law, would have given our neighbors who call these communities home some basic protection under Iowa law. We sent it over to the House and we were told this is a done deal. Who could possibly be against this? And then I got asked to go over to the House for a meeting. I walked into the room. On one side of the table was a Republican representative who I knew was sympathetic. On the other side of the table was the lobbyist for the Iowa Manufactured Housing Association, who was smirking at me because sitting next to him was State Representative Ashley Hinson. For a paltry amount of campaign contributions, Ashley Hinson killed our bipartisan bill. When we talk about the connection between an economy that is crushing us and out-of-control corruption, Ashley Hinson is who we are talking about, and we have to make sure she never steps foot in the U.S. Senate. This corruption is why people like my constituent, Candy Evans, and her neighbors who live in Gulfview Mobile Home Park are being forced to make impossible choices between making their lot rent payments and keeping a roof over their head, or affording groceries, or prescription medication, or gifts for their grandchildren. That corruption is exactly why my campaign pledged on day one, we are not going to take a dime of corporate PAC money because we have to end this corruption once and for all. We have a three-part plan that will get us started. It won't solve every problem. It's a good place to start. First, we have to overturn the Citizens United decision, which is one of the worst decisions in the history of this country. Second, I strongly support common sense term limits, because in Iowa, we know that rotating the crops is good for our soil, and you better believe it's good for our politicians too. And finally, I'm sure many of you have seen these reports. It makes me sick to my stomach every time I read about a member of Congress like Ashley Hinson who's gotten rich trading stocks on inside information while passing laws that hurt people. It's shameful and it should be illegal. And the final piece I want to say, Teresa, I appreciated your comment about the importance of fighting for our farming communities and our small towns. How many people here are still farming today? Got a handful. How many people grew up on a farm? How many people's parents farmed? That's the heritage of our state, folks. And Democrats for too long have let Republicans own outreach to these rural communities. We can't just wait for the pain that is being inflicted on our farmers from these tariffs to convince them to come home. We have to have a positive vision for the future of our state, one that protects family farms, that ensures sustainability for future generations, and that protects our heritage, because that's who we are as a state. And the good news is that this message about fixing this economy, about cleaning up this corruption, about a positive vision for the future of rural Iowa is resonating with Iowans in all 99 counties. We were the first campaign for Senate to receive grassroots contributions from Iowans in all 99 counties across our state. Our 99th county was Wright County, and came from a gentleman named Gary. Gary's a retired small-town lawyer. He's a Vietnam veteran. He's the president of his local school board. And Gary's a registered Republican. And when I called Gary to thank him for his support and ask why he supported my campaign, Gary said that despite being a registered Republican, he's absolutely sick at what he sees happening in Washington, D.C. right now. He doesn't recognize the party that he grew up in. And he's particularly upset about how Joni Ernst and Ashley Hinson voted against the PACT Act to support our veterans who were exposed to toxic burn pits, and supported 80,000 job cuts to the VA at a time when 18 veterans a day are taking their own lives in this country. And Gary said, Zach, if you're willing to extend an open hand to people like me, I'm willing to take your hand and work with you to bring real change to Washington, D.C. This is the coalition that we have to build to win this election next November. We want to bring new people into the Democratic Party, and we have to extend that open hand to independents and Republicans who are sick of the tariffs, who are sick of the cuts, and who are horrified at the deportations that are sweeping across this country. If we are able to build that coalition, we can win this election, and we can make sure that Ashley Hinson never steps foot in the United States Senate. I'm Zach Wahls. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for your support, because together I know we can build an Iowa where everyone who works hard and plays by the rules can make sure that our kids and our grandkids have the same opportunity that we did, because there is nothing that is wrong with Iowa that cannot be fixed by what is right with Iowa. Thank you all so much.
Next is Josh Turek.
Hello, Story County. It's great to be back. I am Iowa State Representative Josh Turek. I am the first permanently disabled member of the Iowa legislature, something I'm very proud of. And I am also the representative that represents the reddest district in the state that was won on Election Day. Very proud of that. Trump won my county by 20 points, won the two communities that I represent, Council Bluffs and Carter Lake, by double digits. I was able to win by nearly 6 points. And this is what I keep going around the state saying: the right candidate, the right message, the right work ethic, we can win in these adverse conditions. And 2026 is when we're going to be able to win. I've been in this race for about 50 days. I feel like we're off to we're a good start. We've got some wind in our sails. And honestly, we were able to raise $500,000 in the first week. We got all 99 counties in the first week. Just found out that we had set the record. We raised over $1 million in our first quarter in less than 50 days doing it. I've got support and endorsements from legislators from all over the state, including our local legislators, Beth Wessel-Cashel and Ross Wilburn. I'm very, very honored and proud to have their support. I want to talk to you a little bit today just about my story and some of the things that I would like to accomplish in the United States Senate, if I'm able to get there and be your senator. And then I always want to leave everyone with a little bit of hope and optimism. We're really trying to lean into hope and optimism, something that is just sorely lacking right now in our politics. So my story begins in Council Bluffs, Iowa. It's where I was born and raised. Council Bluffs is a blue-collar community. 65% of the people in my community are living at or below the poverty line. And I was from one of these families that was at or below the poverty line. I come from a large family. We shared our clothes. We got our clothes from the Goodwill. We went to the free summer lunch programs to be able to get our food. So I understand this economic adversity that so many people are experiencing right now when they're struggling just to keep the lights on, just to keep food on the table, keep a roof above their head. I was born with my condition. I was born with a condition called spina bifida. This was due to my dad's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. I had my first surgery at 1 day old. I had 21 surgeries before I was 12. I spent a lot of my childhood at Shriners Hospital up in Minnesota. So I understand firsthand the importance of healthcare and how many people are struggling with their healthcare right now. Thankfully for me, wheelchair basketball really saved me. Because of wheelchair basketball, I was able to get a scholarship along with the help of vocational rehabilitation, something unfortunately we're defunding in this state, to be able to get a college education. I had a great basketball career in college. I scored 4,000 career points, just barely beat out Caitlin Clark, something I'm very proud of. And the thing that I'm most proud of with my basketball career is I was able to represent the United States in 4 Paralympic Games, and I won 2 gold medals, back-to-back gold medals representing the USA in wheelchair basketball. Along the way as well, I've really dedicated my life to the most vulnerable in the society. For more than 10 years, I've been a director of a nonprofit organization where we provide free summer camps to disabled kids because of the lack of role models for them and because of the huge impact it had made in my life. And I also was working in healthcare. I was assessing and providing wheelchairs for the most disabled, people with progressive conditions like muscular dystrophy and ALS. And actually, this is what the impetus of what got me interested in running for state legislature, is because what we were showing is denials and delays every single day. We were showing that since Iowa had privatized its Medicaid system, we were showing a 1,000% increase in the denial rate for basic health care for the most vulnerable in the society. I thought that was fundamentally wrong. I also had found out that we had never had a permanently disabled member of the Iowa legislature, even though we have 1 in 5 Iowans that are either blind, deaf, intellectually disabled, or physically disabled. I thought that these unnecessary barriers to healthcare and to employment were happening because of the lack of representation. And so, even though I was in very, very red Western Iowa, I decided that I would go out there. People said, "You're crazy. You can't win out here. It's impossible as a Democrat." I said, I'm going to attack this the same way I've done with every single other barrier in my life. I'm going to go out there and work as hard as I can every day. And what I did was, rain or shine, hot or cold, I went out there and I drugged my wheelchair upstairs, same way I got up here actually today, and I went and I had conversations with Republicans and independents. I won my first election by just 6 votes, so never doubt that every single one of your votes matters. That was with a 13-point overperformance, the only Democrat to win in all of Western Iowa. But what I'm even more proud of is we turned around in this most recent election, even though it was even worse for Democrats in Western Iowa. Trump won the county by 20 points, 2 communities I represent by double digits. I was able to win by nearly 6 points, a 14-point overperformance, about 50% better than any other Democrat in the state. That is what gives me hope. As I'm saying, it's the right candidate, the right message, the right work ethic. We can win, and we can win here in Iowa in 2026. People have asked me why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I think the best way I can describe it is in 2 quick stories. The first is when the last legislative session finished, I actually got in my car and I drove from Des Moines up to D.C. because they were going to pass the big bad bill, and I felt an obligation as the ranking member of Health and Human Services budget to go up there and explain to them how broken and underfunded our Medicaid system is, how this is going to impact the most vulnerable in our society, the disabled, the elderly, poor children, how we were going to have 110,000 Iowans that were going to lose their health care, how there were 140 disability organizations that were going to lose partial funding, some funding. I went up there and tried to speak to every single one of the delegates. The only one that would not meet with me was Ashley Hinson. We need to have a senator that is going to fight for the people and that has an understanding and an empathy of the plights of the others. The other reason why I'm doing this, I am someone that understands in a very, very deeply personal way what a great senator from Iowa can be for the individual, for the cities, for the state, but for the country. I am only legitimately here because of the work of our great 30-year senator, my hero, Senator Tom Harkin. Had it not been for the work that Senator Harkin did on the American with Disabilities Act, I would not be here. I would never had the educational and occupational opportunities. He literally provided me the on-ramp onto society to be able to be successful, and so many disabled Americans. And we here in Iowa, we deserve to once again have a senator that is going to fight for the people, to fight for working families, that is going to fight for our farmers, fight for our small businesses, fight for social and economic justice, fight for these social safety nets that have allowed me to be successful in my life, like Medicaid, like Medicare, like Social Security. Fight for the most vulnerable in our society, the elderly, the disabled, and not just look out for billionaires and donors and DC lobbyists. That's what we deserve. That's why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. I want to tell you a few of my policies that I will absolutely fight for as your United States Senator. The first is we are going to raise the minimum wage. Far too many Iowans are struggling. We have not raised the minimum wage since 2008. $7.25 is not a livable wage. And even more egregiously here in Iowa, we have something called 14C certificates, which allow a for-profit employer to pay an individual just because of a disability a sub-minimum wage. It's egregious and it's wrong. I'm also going to fight. I believe that health care is a human right. As your United States Senator, I will fight for affordable and accessible health care in every single way. And when we are talking about health care, we're also talking about women's health care, and that means women's reproductive freedom. As your United States Senator, I will fight to codify Roe. And if we're talking about health care additionally, affordable and accessible pharmaceuticals. Far too many people are struggling with the impossible choice of taking their medication or paying their bills. It's wrong. Every single American, every Iowan deserves the opportunity to have affordable pharmaceuticals. I'm also going to fight for our public schools. Amen to everything that they've said. Public money for public schools. We're going to fight for infrastructure. We're going to fight for campaign finance reform. I've taken the pledge as well. No campaign finance money in this campaign. We will fight to end Citizens United. I am going to fight for the people. I'm running out of time, and so I said I want to leave you guys with a little bit of hope. And the hope is that this is a generational opportunity for us here in Iowa. This is the first time since 1968 we have an open Senate seat and an open gubernatorial race. We've got 2 open congressional races. People say that Iowa's gone, that we're a red state. We're not. We are a common sense state, and I am a common sense prairie populist. In Trump's first midterm, we won 3 of the 4 congressional seats. We can do that again. And in 2022, we were only 1.5% away from having 3 of our 6 statewide officials being Democrats. We can do that again. The winds of change are here in Iowa. I feel it everywhere that we're going. We're having turnouts with Republicans and independents. We can win these. Again, like I've said, right candidate, right message, right work ethic, we can win these. I've got to stop. I just want to say one last thing. It is going to be something beautifully poetic that the man that is going to get Senator Harkin's seat back is only there because of the work that he did with the American with Disabilities Act. We can have, once again, a great senator from Iowa fighting for the people. I'm Josh Turek, running for U.S. to be your next U.S. Senator. Thank you all.
Finally, we will hear from Nathan Sage.
If he doesn't stand at the podium, neither do I. How are you guys, everybody? How are you guys doing? I'm just a regular guy. That's all I am, so I'm just going to be a regular guy and talk about regular issues, right? I grew up on the west side of Mason City in a trailer park. I am a kid of poverty. My dad was a factory worker. My mom was a daycare teacher. My dad worked a lot of double shifts because we couldn't afford life. My mom was a daycare teacher, again, because that's the only way we could afford life. I am the poster boy for why we need to pass the PRO Act, strengthen unions, and actually give livable wages to people, if I can speak. I'm the poster boy as why we need to make child care more affordable. My mom wouldn't have had to work at a child care facility if we would actually have been able to afford it. I'm here because I'm a normal, everyday American, and they talk about a lot of the times about leaving people behind or can't afford life or it's really hard for people these days. That's been my whole life. My whole life has been a struggle of trying to find a better opportunity for myself and for my family. Trying to put myself forward and trying to figure out, how am I going to ever go to college? How am I ever going to afford a house? How am I going to afford a life? For me, I watched my parents die young. My dad at 54, my mom at 67, Iowa #1 in cancer rates, and they passed away of cancer. That's why I am more terrified than anything in this world, because I know it's in my family. We need a politician that's actually going to fight for us and represent us. Someone that's going to look at the water issues that we have in the state and say, we can't continue to do this. We need to fund the programs to make corrections so we can actually have clean drinking water in this state. We need somebody that can stand up and say, you know, enough's enough. We're not going to keep pointing down at people and saying they're the problem to our society. And there's somebody who has their thumb on the scale, and we need to point up at them and say, enough is enough. We're not going to continue to do this crap. That's who I am. I'm a guy that shoots from the hip. I don't have a written speech. I just talk the way I talk because at the end of the day, I'm tired of the world we're living in. I'm tired of watching everybody in this world struggle every day just to afford common life. And all we do is get politicians that continue to lie to us and leave us behind. We continue to get people like Ashley Hinson that's backed by corporations and billionaires and doesn't represent Iowans. When she launched her campaign, she didn't say Iowans once. She talked about being her allegiance to Trump. I'm here to fight for Iowans. For me, I want to raise wages. I want to lower healthcare costs. I want to get rid of those pharmaceutical benefit managers and make it where companies can actually where government can actually negotiate with companies to get lower prices for our pharmaceuticals, because Iowa is an elderly population and we need our prescription drugs to survive. I'm tired of leadership that leaves us behind. I'm tired of both parties leaving us behind. I'm tired of leaderships on the right caring more about the color of your skin, ethnicity, your gender, and leadership on the left not willing to stand up and fight for people. We finally have, Chuck Schumer decided to finally stand up and have this government shut down and fight for the ACA tax extension, credits to the ACA tax extension, if I can talk. Finally decided to show a backbone. I think it's about damn time. I'm tired of strongly worded memos. I'm tired of the same politicians coming to our neighborhood saying the same damn thing over and over and over, and nothing changes. I've been lied to and left behind, like I said, my whole life. The only reason I'm here is because I found a path for myself. I joined the United States Marine Corps out of high school because 9/11 happened when I was a junior in high school, and I felt that was the right thing to do to serve my country. I went to Iraq 3 times. 2004 when I was 19, 2006, and 2010. I left my 2-year-old daughter behind when 2010 to serve in Iraq for a year. My daughter is now going to be 18 years old. I also have a 13-year-old daughter. That's where I get the grays from. I still pay rent to this day. My wife works at McCoy True Value in Indianola. We're regular people living in this world, and it is not for us. I'm standing here because I'm going to tell you a personal reason. I'm standing here. I have 2 daughters, like I just said. In March of last year, my wife, I've been with her 10 years. My daughters are with my ex-wife. I've been with my wife 10 years. My wife has never been pregnant before in her life. March of last year, she got pregnant for the very first time. End of April, she lost it at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was very hard. I woke up to screaming, crying, and a lot of blood. Never once in my life have I gone through that. Fast forward to the election in November, and what did we all see? What did we sit on our couch and watch this orange idiot get elected again? And all of us were deflated. All of us were upset. I looked over at my left, and my wife was crying her eyes out. And I said, "Why are you upset?" "We'll never be able to try again." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because what if I'm a criminal? What if it happens again?" She started spewing out all these questions and all these issues that I had never once thought of because I'm a man. I never thought of that. I've never been through this in my life. And if my own wife is sitting on the couch next to me feeling the exact same way, there's millions of women across the country that feel the exact same way, and that is wrong. And we need politicians that aren't going to sit on the sidelines anymore, not sit on their feet, not write strongly worded memos like I said, but actually stand up and say enough's enough, we're not going to keep doing this. I'm tired of listening to the same politicians say the same damn talking points over and over. I want to fight for people. I've been fighting my whole life. I stood on the yellow footprints at MCRD San Diego. I took the oath and I swore to defend and support the Constitution of the United States against enemies foreign and domestic, and I meant it. I've been fighting for my opportunity. I never once ever thought I'd go to college. Never once. Didn't even consider it. Never once even dreamed about it. The military gave me a GI Bill and gave me an opportunity. What they don't tell you about the GI Bill, you still got to pay for your family. You still got to make it. So I worked nights doing screen printing to pay for my family while getting an education. And I was the first person in my family to graduate with a four-year degree. And what did I get for it? I came back to Iowa and watched my mom die of cancer, like I said. Every day it's a setback. It seems like it's 1 step forward, 3 steps back. That's the real world that a lot of people that look like me, sound like me, and are like me are living. Working class people that are working every day and struggling in this world, and it seems like we've left them behind. I told Jonathan Capehart on MSNBC, we need to tear the Democratic Party and build it back up with people that look like me, because that's what we've lost in this country. Those are the people that are wearing those red hats. They want someone that's going to fight for them. They want someone that's going to kick over the system and make it work for them. What Donald Trump did is he kicked over the system and he re-rigged it for himself, but we need to re-rig it for working class people. And to do that, all you've already heard, we need to overturn Citizens United and get big money out of politics. And we need to elect working class candidates, not people that are backed by billionaires and don't answer to us. When you can't say Iowans in your launch message, obviously you don't give a crap about anybody in this room. I'm a Democrat because I watched the Republican Party continue to tear everything away. Democrats want to help people. At the end of the day, I'm here because I want to help people. I want to help people like me that are struggling every single day. I will tell you this, one of the best motivational things I ever got, which I still can't believe I'm going to say this, but my drill instructor in boot camp, my mom and dad divorced two weeks to me and being in boot camp. I never said that to anybody. One of the hardest things I've gone through, watching your family disappear in front of you when you're at boot camp. My drill instructor said, Nathan, what are you going to do? Are you going to cry about it? Or are you going to grab the big purple straw of life and suck it up? That's what I've gotten my whole life. That's what I've had to do. That's what millions of Iowans and Americans have to do every single day. Because we don't have proper representation. We don't have anybody who's actually fighting for us. We talk a big game about how we're going to fight, but nobody ever does. That's the reason I'm standing here. Because I'm not going to sit idly by while this country falls to shit. I'm not going to watch our democracy crumble because nobody can stand up and say we're not going to do it. We need to elect working class people that can speak on the issues and properly represent us. We need to raise wages in this country. We need affordable health care in this country. We need child care that's affordable in this country. We need real opportunities for people. I bet you didn't know the GI Bill only covers 36 months. Not full 4 years. Maybe we can start there and give kids who are putting their life on the line like I did in Iraq a real opportunity to have an education. I'm just an example of so many working class people that found a way to continue to pay rent, found a way to put food on my table. My daughter is 17 years old, will be 18 in a month. I can't believe that. I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to pay for college. Because we live in a world where we have high interest loans that people can't pay off, and they go to college and they come out of there with debt and they are strapped for life. Because at the end of the day, this world's more about money than it is about helping people. It's more about money and corporations and billionaires than it is about putting a hand down and literally helping somebody up. I'm tired of the world we're in. I'm tired of watching veterans die of suicide. I'm tired of Joni Ernst stripping away VA jobs with that Doge caucus. I got to get done. I just tend to ramble. At the end of the day, my name is Nathan Sage. I'm running for United States Senate because I'm a fighter, because I've been fighting for my whole life. I've been fighting for my family, and I'll fight for yours. That's who I am.
That concludes the candidates' presentations. We would like to thank these candidates for coming today to speak with us. One last thank you also to the volunteers who made this event possible. And thank you for attending.
Go sign petitions.